Okay, great. All right, so I'd like to call to order the our fourth meeting of the Marvin Heritage District Plan Committee. If everyone who's not talking could mute themselves, supposedly including Austin, you up there, sorry.
I'm muting away. Oh, not me. I muted Rohit. I muted Rohit. That's not good.
That's not a good thing. There you go.
Okay. Great. All right. So first thing on the agenda is determine quorum. Let's see. We have Tim, John, Jake, Dorota as the call-in user, and Michael Lavelle. That's 5. Am I missing anyone? Is there anyone in the room?
You got Jake and Russ.
No. Okay.
You got.
I mean, anyone in the room on the committee? Please, I can see you, Andy. All right, then we have 5.
We're one in here with Austin.
We're muted.
DJ said he was trying to join the meeting yesterday. I might want to call him or text him or something. But anyway, he's like, oh, I can't join the meeting. Because Mark. So I think he's ready to come, but he's not here. Anyway, next is to adopt the agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as presented, or does anyone want to add anything?
Motion to adopt is Jake.
Thanks, Jake. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Can you either say your name and then aye, or raise your hand on camera so I can keep track of who's voted?
Tim Fincher, aye.
Thank you. Jake, say aye. Michael, Dorota.
This is what I like.
Dorota didn't say anything, but I got 4 out of 5, so I guess that's
A nod?
good to go. Okay, so next is adoption of the minutes from February 4th. Can I get a motion to adopt the minutes, or does anyone have any provisions on that?
Motion to adopt is Jake.
Jake.
All in favor, say your name and aye, or raise your hand.
Tim Fincher, yes.
You? Jake and Dorota?
Aye. Sorry, I thought I made the motion.
Yeah, I think you still have to
Still
vote.
gonna do it. That's us. Yep.
Anyway.
And remember, if they don't vote and they're here, it counts as a yes. So.
Okay, that's fine. Then for Dorota, if you can figuring out how to unmute yourself when you gotta vote, that's fine. But for now, I'll count you as a yes. All right then. 5, public comment period. Is there any? So there's no one in the village hall as I can see. Does anyone on the WebEx want to make a public comment at this time? Okay. Hearing none, we will move on to the first item of the agenda, right along. This is basically the entire, discussion of where we are, discussion of Development Finance Initiative, DFI report, the next steps. So I included two presentations in the packet. I hope you have all got a chance to look at them, because I'm going to be going through them very quickly in today's meeting, because I want to get right to the discussion. Let's see. So, but at last meeting, I did show you all DFI's result from this study that they did on the 3 scenarios that we provided them, and essentially they came out saying that the development returns were kind of challenged based on the density and the open spaces that we're requiring. So we do have to go back to the drawing board a little bit, and I did go back to the drawing board, and I came out with kind of a proof of concept that I'm going to be talking about, which was in the PowerPoint, the other PowerPoint, which is that the way we had given DFI these scenarios was that there was a west node and an east node, but each of them had a scenario, and they were kind of painting with a broad brush these scenario parameters. But what I thought about is, what if you were to take those kind of characteristics? The district is 125 acres. So what if you said there are allowed to be 125 homes, and 28 acres of it are not going to have any homes anyway. So take that 28, put it on the west side, and you still have a global density of 1.0 units per acre in the district. So we're not, trading away Marvin's values, but this 1.6 units per acre on this property would allow, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Would allow that node to be profitable. Then you take the extra $1.2 million of MSD and buy the open space that we're requiring the other properties to have. And then further, considering that concept of consolidating this open space, instead of requiring each property to dedicate and develop 30% of their land, to consolidate those open spaces, so you'd have, one or two much bigger parks, and then each property owner would be maybe required 20% or less. And then this was not in the presentation, but also, sorry. Also thought if you were to count the lake area as part of the 42 acres, but require the design of the site to emphasize, the lake, highlight it as part of the public enjoyment, public realm. So those are just some concepts. This is not, what we are doing, but this is the next step. This is part of the next step, showing the proof of concept, basically, that, despite the DFI presentation showing that some of the returns are challenged, there is definitely one of several avenues that we can take to redesign this district in a way that doesn't sacrifice Marvin's values. So I'm really, with this item, I'm requesting, two kind of topics of discussion tonight. One is that, what do you guys all think about that kind of idea of reallocating the allowances of housing and open space instead of making it consistent across the board? And this last slide here, which is, what is our next step? In this PowerPoint, you'll see that the timeline is a little extended. When I first came up with a timeline many months ago, I thought that perhaps when we did this study with DFI, we'd come to a point where, okay, it's very feasible or it's very not, and then we just do the district or don't. But we're kind of at a point where it's a great idea and it's feasible, but if it was more feasible, developers would be, actually around to build what we design. So we have to do kind of another round, basically, a round of coordinating with the property owners, telling them what DFI came out with, and getting their ideas on what could be improved on their properties to get to a point where, the district is still very uniquely Marvin, but also, developable for the property owners. So this timeline is kind of extended out to 2021 here. If we do one more program scenario after figuring out what that is, doing a traffic impact analysis early in the year, completing the strategic plan, writing the zoning district, and establishing tax district and adopting it should kind of carry us into the end of the calendar year.
Rohit, before you go too much further, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So the DFI results, if you remember in the council meeting, we asked about the DFI's equation of purchase, land purchase in their results. Have you gotten any feedback on them on that aspect?
When I talked to them about it, they seem to think that even when the property is owned out, they still kind of look at it from the lens of if a developer is buying the land, they still have to consider the cost of the land. And even if, I don't think that any of the properties are currently owned by a developer, and even if it was, they still have to consider the cost of land. So they're really still thinking that that's an important part of their equation.
Well, I guess if any of the landowners do their own development, say, they would have to know individually then that there would be an advantage to that, I suppose, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, for example, Odell or Tim Fincher, who was owned their land for more than one generation, would not have to pay for the land cost outright, but DFI, in their first study, were not in the position to take into account on a property level basis, like who owns their land and doesn't have to pay for it.
Okay.
Rohit, how many property owners are in this Marbridge Heritage District?
Last I counted was 13. The property owners are like groups of people who own.
Sure, but 13 parts, 13 owners. How many, I'm sure you've surveyed them, how many want to sell, how many want to develop, and how many just want to be left alone of those 13?
Well, that's a question that trips up everyone, because we drew the district in a way that only the people who wanted to be in the district and redevelop were in the final boundary. Like, for example, the Reasons property, it would have been probably a great, 20 acres to be a part of this district, but he didn't want to be in it. So the answer is relatively all of them want to redevelop, but some of them who currently live in the properties don't want to redevelop immediately.
Does that number include Village of Marvin as a property owner?
13 includes us.
Okay.
When was the last time council met with these property owners, or is there a meeting it seems like we've come to kind of the end of the line here, in my opinion. I mean, we're trying to make rules about something that we have no idea what they want to do. There's no presentation. We don't know if, they're going to combine the parcels and create one. They're going to do it organically. They're going to do it individually. I mean, when was the last time council met with all 13 or 12, because there were all 12 property owners?
I wouldn't know that the council met with all of the property owners, unless you're counting that charrette that was held in maybe 4 or so years ago, but I don't think that council was there. Maybe they were, but it's not the current council anyway. But I can say, that the council did meet with several of the property owners individually. When we were considering putting Village Hall on different properties, we met with Scott White and the guys who own the Crane house property. And we met with Tim Fincher in regards to his property. We met with, kind of independently, we've had conversations with Scott Lett and Russ Bell and the Priuses. And then we also met with the guys that bought the archery property. So the council has met a lot of these property owners individually, but not all of them in a group, which is what roughly the next step of this process seeks to do. Like, we know what each of these individual property owners want. Tim Fincher had a proposal. It was about 41,000 square feet of commercial and 17 houses. I think there's opportunity to make that more like 50,000 square feet and 13 houses, so it's 1 per acre.
Would you feel like it's going to be individual, or are the property owners talking about combining and making? I mean, if we do it individually, it's hard to call it a district. I mean, people are just doing what they want.
There are some property owners who have already discussed joining together. For example, this note out here, the Priebus's and Ross O'Dell are talking about joint development. This note over here.
But that's just for homes. That wouldn't be.
Yeah, that is just for homes. But I mean, if you think about these 4, can you see my mouse?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so if you think about these 4 kind of nodes here, that's the Ardruk property, this is the Lett property, this is Tim Fincher's property and Will Owens's, and this northeast corner here. There's room for these quadrants to develop together, but they are still kind of separate anyway. Like, organically they could develop separately within the regulations of one zoning district that we established.
Well, isn't the district supposed to be from like where Marvin touches Newtown right there to the roundabout?
Right.
Okay, so they're 47 acres and 75 homes. Why are they part of the Marvin's Heritage District if they're going to go and do homes on their own?
Well, we thought that they wanted to be in the district, but so it was kind of a debate of should they be allowed commercial if they're going to be in the district? No, because we were thinking that the Marvin Heritage District would be between Marvin Road and Marvin School, but there's also this concept that in a downtown district like this, you need that kind of housing stock to create this vibrancy where people are walking to this district, and the more the better.
Right.
The more the better, but you also don't want to exceed, too much density, even though typically a downtown district like this would call for density. So that's why there's this, this idea of, okay, they're too far from what we were considering the district to be commercial, but there's still an opportunity to increase the vibrancy of this district by allowing them some housing that may be a little more dense than 1 unit per acre.
I'm just thinking at some point it would be advantageous for the property owners, including the village, to kind of get together and meet with an urban planner and get designs and see exactly what can be done. The DFI did a good job, but I think it needs to be, if this is going to happen, I think, the people that own the land are going to have to take a lead here, and the village is one of those owners, and get together and, meet with an urban planner and say, here's what we have, what can we do?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because we're kind of working in front of them without knowing they don't even know what they want to do, I don't think.
Yeah, so this is exactly the discussion I wanted to kind of have today, where that was where we left off when we talked about it last time, and we were talking about kind of splitting the bill on urban planner. But then we got a quote, and it was 100,000 or more, and none of the property owners are really interested in spending that kind of money when they still relatively in the concept phase. But a lot of the property owners are able to create their own designs. For example, Tim Fincher has already done a contract with Land Design and created some schematic. And Scott White is a land use planner, so he would definitely not help pay for one. And then Russ O'Dell has already been solicited by, and the O'Dell and previous note, they've already been solicited by home builders who have proposed a full concept for their subdivision and then just never built it. So, which is some minor tweaks. They could have a site plan without having to pay for
Does for a
one.
living, but still.
Rohit, this is Jake. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If we determine that it's not feasible to move forward with the district, is there, just clarity for me, still
Yeah, let me know if you want me to
the
unmute it.
potential that these properties would be rezoned for them to be able to do what they want to do separately?
That's a hard question. I would have thought that answer would be no, but I'm not the council, so I can't really speak for them. The mayor had always been saying that, they want to keep a Marvin-like district, but they don't want to establish regulations that developers would never build or find viable. So my first inclination to that question, the answer is no.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to Mike's point, you quickly spiral well outside of a district, like air quotes district, if everyone's doing their own thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that several nodes would develop independently, but it would be beneficial for us to create some sort of a vision plan, like a master concept plan for this district that each property owner would then be compelled to follow when they do develop. And that's why
That's a good idea, Rohit, but I don't think that falls in this committee's purview at all.
I was, I suppose, looking for your input on that.
We have the planning board and council.
Right. I don't think that this committee would do the work in this this site design, but that would fall under, between me and the planning consultant that we hired for assistance and whoever else we can get on board. We do have a little bit of a staff now. I don't know if I actually told you yet, but last time I was telling you that we would hire someone, and we did. His name is Tom Whitenauer, and he is he's a planner at InFocus, very experienced, and been a planning director for a large city. So, to have him, on our team is gonna go a long way, and kind of drafting the master concept plan or whatever we want to call it is going to be a large part of his responsibility when he's here with us. But in any case, the next step is kind of it could be one of two things, right? Either the first idea was that we all go in on a land use planner to do this kind of concept plan, but then the quote came out really high and the property owners are not willing to really spend the money on that. The ideal next step, this is what I'm recommending and I would like some input on, is that we coordinate with property owners about the DFI report, submit sketch plans, and have DFI kind of on board with us and kind of facilitating that discussion so that we result in one final scenario that the property owners all had input on and DFI helped us kind of lead us to. That's not exactly what the text on this page says. I wrote this before I got council's kind of favorability about hiring DFI to do the coordination with property owners. I was thinking that, and I guess this is also a third option, that staff would just do that and then give a final scenario to DFI. So there's kind of three options, but the first one is not really going to work out if property owners don't want to.
How many quotes did you get, and was the $100,000 quote recent?
That was recent. That was one quote.
Michael, let me think, those numbers, this goes back to 2018. At your recommendation, I contacted Terry Shook individually and told him, we were working on, at that time, it was called Marvin Village Center, etc. And what I asked him for was, what would it take to do as I refer to as a 10,000 foot, plan for the center? His quote came back $163,000.
Jesus Christ.
It was substantially more than $100,000.
What did that entail? I mean, did he detail it for each one?
Yeah.
Or just a simple quote?
No, I've got it, written quote. I don't have it in front of me right now. It's on my computer somehow with that. It's there, but it's.
I mean, is that from beginning to end, John, or is that just an oversight of the properties? That sounds like that handles charrettes and, changing zoning, or is it just?
Well, it was a pretty detailed, it was pretty detailed. It was much more than a 10,000 foot, plan, but.
See, I don't think we need to spend $163,000 right away, but I tell you what, I don't think it's gonna cost $163,000 to show him all of the available parcels and then have a rough sketch of what those parcels can look like. That's certainly not $163,000. And then you take that and say, well, does this even work? Is this something that we want to even look at? And if it is, then they have to decide, well, if this can really happen and, heck, this is what it's going to cost to move forward. And if everybody says, well, that's too expensive, then we know. But I don't think it's a $163,000 out of the gate proposal.
Well, like I said, I reached out to him because you kept pushing him, and that's what he came back at.
All right. If you want to share that with me, John, that'd be great.
Yeah, as soon as I can get it unlocked, I tried to do that, and for some reason it froze up. But it's still here. If I can.
I kind of think that's where we're at, John. We're kind of spinning our wheels, I think. We're talking about a lot of things and nothing's happening. And we've been talking about this district for, 4 years. At some point, we've got to quit talking and we've got to say, is this going to happen and how much is it going to cost and who's involved and, or we can keep doing this.
And, and I'm not sure which direction we go. I know you think that it's some big developer is going to have to come in and buy all of the parcels and develop them all to look like, what's the one up there up north,
John, that's not what I think. I don't know why you think I think that. That's not what I think at all.
But, it seems like it could, with the proper, I'm not sure, with the proper zoning or whatever, and guidelines that, Marvin says this is the kind of thing we want, that it could develop individually instead of one developer.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be one developer. I never thought it would be one developer. I think that it's a group of the homeowners is the way I always envisioned it, to get together and put together this scenario. I don't think anybody's coming in and buying everybody out. I never thought that, I never said that, and I don't believe that's the way this would happen.
So a couple of things. One thing is that I just remembered that the people that did our Parks and Greenways master plan are also doing kind of visioning plan for Stallings' downtown area, and they also are charging them $160,000. So I guess that's two quotes now. But what I did think is that if we were to hire DFI for just the stakeholder engagement part of it, and then and we have Enfocus with us, I was talking to their CEO just maybe yesterday it was, that, they're willing to put their whole team, whoever's up for whichever part of the job within our current contract, one that we're already paying for planning assistance, then we can have that kind of master concept plan together with DFI and Enfocus without having to spend, even a tenth of $160,000. Together with the $20,000 we're paying Tom and the $10,000 that we could potentially pay DFI, even not the whole 20,000 would go towards this. Let's say we get this whole thing for 20,000, a sketch plan and like a concept plan that is feasible for all property owners. Done by a professional, land use planner.
That's what I'm advocating.
Right.
That's exactly what I'm advocating. And again, I don't think it costs 163,000.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think if we go with, having DFI help us, consolidate all the property owners' vision, so it's not so, all over the place. And then, like I said, our planning assistant is
really
with
all over the
End
place.
Focus, as opposed to, someone that, I just hired independently.
all crazy.
So we have their whole, organization's backing with this project. The
Together,
CEO is very interested
list
in the
of
project.
Things that we will.
And we can fit that site
let the
design under our current
individuals develop
contract.
it at their discretion. I think that the individuality is good for Marvin.
So whenever I talk about staff, I'm rolling up Tom and End Focus in that word now, like from as of 2 weeks ago. I think this discussion could be even further had with, in the joint meeting with planning board and council next week. And then I'll have quotes too. I'll have quotes from DFI about what they would cost, what they would charge for various things. Various scopes of services. But what I have on the slide is still a little old. Wrote it last week and it's still old.
Is it, do we have proposals from each of the landowners, what they want?
I honestly don't want.
Seems like, and I don't know, I haven't been to that many of these, but it seems like Lavelle and Feeling are the only ones that talk. And then John spoke up a little bit, but.
Okay, he's here.
The only reason why Jake's here is because he doesn't want it. I don't know if I could hear it or
We're muted.
not. I mean, I don't know if that picked it up or not. Speak the truth.
Yeah, that's basically it, right there.
Contract DFI to conduct property owner engagement. If you're thinking we should still hire someone to do that master concept plan, I can go out and get more quotes. But the exact scope of that would be after we gather what we want on these properties for them to develop a concept plan.
That was what I was going to say, Rohit. I'm not sure that we, the village as a whole, whether it be council or this committee or planning board, have a consensus opinion of what we think it ought to encompass, so that we could tell someone what we want drawn.
Yeah,
Right?
I think so, and that's why I think the immediate next step would be either for staff or DFI to get all the property owners together into one kind of,
get these ideas together into one scenario.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, we may have this, I call it, rose-colored glasses thought of what we think it ought to look like, but then you have to throw in there the what it's gonna cost the village, you know, infrastructure, et cetera. And also what it may, you know, potentially, you know, what kind of money it may return to the property owners, et cetera, before we can, you know, have some firm conclusion of what we think that we want to tell someone to draw. And, you know, I don't know that anyone's gotten their arms totally around it. And we've gotten a lot of different, thought, you know, I guess, you know, the big thing for this group is trying to get what may be considered community and property owner feedback. It really is the purpose of this group versus, quote, legislative kind of things. Because if we ask, you know, we've seen what kind of response we get on, you know, send out a community survey, you know, and that's not a whole lot. And I think that's of response, percentage wise. And so I think this sort of is the purpose of this committee, is to try to be representatives of all of those people.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. So, I mean, I know that we have, you know, some of the other property owners keep, you know, consistently attending these meetings too. Would it be beneficial for us to kind of save the date for next month's committee meeting and say compel that date to be the village center property owners charrette, April 8th?
Rohit, I think a lot will be determined.
April 1st, sorry.
I think a lot, I mean, this will be a center of discussion when the planning board and the council meet in the upcoming meeting. So I think a lot of direction will come after that meeting. Wouldn't you agree?
Okay.
That's gonna be a long.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Next week.
Then perhaps
3 back-to-back.
we can leave it at that.
Once goes the budget.
I will put another recommendation here because that's actually a pretty solid idea. But then the thing that I could ask you as the committee tonight
How am I gonna use this comp time?
general consensus on the
I
idea
don't know if you'll ever
of
use all this.
reallocating those, you know, property, the housing allowances and open space allowances in terms of the design in order to help make those properties have a better return. Is that a good idea?
Well, I'm going to tell you from my point of view, I'd like to see, not that it's this is it, but see what you're talking about as far as sketches, to get my arms around what you were talking, trying to really understand what you were trying to say. I guess it's the gray hair that's working on me. I can't wrap my arms around it, fully understanding it.
John, I'm with you on that, me either, and that's why I think it's a great idea. I mean, we shouldn't, I don't think I know I'm not capable of developing a sketch or kind of, seeing what can come of what the property has. I mean, that's somebody with, with qualifications, an architect, a planner, or a land planner, urban planner. Those guys have an idea. You give them the amount of acreage, and then they take that acreage and they say, well, here's what you can do with it.
Well,
I don't think it's our job.
I think Rohit was saying, let's move the open space areas from, the total, acreage for the entire area. Let's move the open spaces from here to there, kind of thing. Just shift them around. It still leaves the same numbers, but I'm not sure. I've got to see it. I'm not against that concept. I'm not saying no. I don't believe in that.
Sure. That's all I could ask for tonight, honestly. If no one is completely opposed to the concept, I know that, some people might say, 75 homes on 47 acres is a hard pill to swallow, but in the greater concept of that the district would still be 125 homes on 125 acres, if you're not opposed to that, we can work on drawing up some concepts and have that by the next meeting. And then by that time, we might also be able to figure out if those concepts would make the district feasible for the property owners. And then we have a concept that is ready to get written down.
Well, go ahead and John, I think you both saw the sketch or the information that Paul shared, Paul Capilio. He just recently did it.
Yeah, the photos and stuff, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that what you kind of have in mind?
What do you mean?
His drawings and photos he shared, Paul. He shared it. I mean, that's kind of what I see it. I mean, I don't know if you have it up that you could share with this committee or not, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. That it would look like. Now how we get there, I don't know, but I mean, it kind of looks like our downtown, and it's already done. Do you have that available, Rohit?
Yeah, I had it in an email. Give me a second, I'll pull it up.
I mean, is that what you think, John, when you think about this area?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But
I thought that was a good photo.
yeah, and before I forget to go back and tell everybody, I definitely will not be available April 1st.
Okay.
I hate that, but I know that for sure right now.
You sure you're not just making an April Fool's joke, John?
I was thinking it.
I will be racing, to be honest.
Let me know if
That's good to hear you back to racing. That's good.
Well, it will be the first time, so
Good.
that's the reason it's important.
And I'm glad to hear it.
Gotta throw in a joke to lighten the air a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta spell his name right for it to come up in my inbox. Two E's, two L's. Okay. Got it.
Two P's, two L's.
Very good.
Well, I am from New York, so the Italian thing kind of.
What is it with Marvin and Italians?
I don't know. A lot of that going around.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that. Just
Yeah.
If you're looking at the date, I think it was like the day after our last planning board meeting.
Yeah, I think I found this picture. Let me pull it up here and then screen share it. And just tell me if this is what you were talking about. This picture here?
That's it.
Yeah.
It kind of even looks like our downtown, with the windy road and everything.
Yeah.
2 lanes.
Very
yeah.
close.
I mean,
Yeah. Little shops in the trees.
yeah. I mean, that's all.
And where is this?
This is Marvin.
Where is this?
This is Marvin 7 years from now.
No, but where actually is it?
That I don't know.
Wait, Warwick is what it says? Let me look.
That is
Anyhow, this is why also I was asking everyone to rack their brains about where you've been and if you've seen cute places like this.
That's not.
TJ sent one of Kennebunkport, Maine, and that was really suitable in a lot of ways. We can pull from a lot of
I
different
love
places.
Kennebunkport.
Everyone I talk to,
Who doesn't?
everywhere I go, people are like, "Oh, so you're trying to build something like X or Y or Z," but without this part of it. I'm like, yeah, that's great inspiration. Anything that we can get.
That was one of the stops on my
So I'm sure we already mentioned this, because I remember doing that, but Blowing Rock, another
Yeah.
town that has a minuscule downtown, but it's vibrant. but it does have, and it has small shops, and it does have some kind of, condos over shops, but it's very few. And the facades are sort of a mountain-ish rock facade with really nice kind of 1930s look. That's another, and there are businesses there for sure, but it's all kind of mom and pop, no chains allowed. And they have arts festivals in the summer. They have a playground for kids where they put up, reading materials and things like that. And there's a gazebo on there where they have concerts at regular intervals in the year. So it's just basically a covered spot where the band comes in and plays, and things like that. So, I mean, there's a lot there, but again, there has to be a specific density for this to, and a couple of, or more than a couple of restaurants. There's probably like at least 4 or 5 on that short stretch. There's a coffee shop, things like that.
Yeah.
That, I don't really have any pictures, but they're
I'm trying to find that people.
easily available on any kind of websites. And it is a very well-run place that really teems with activity in every season. They have painters festivals, they have, horse
Where's she talking
themed
about?
things, because there are a lot of people that ride there.
I'm going on vacation anyway.
Whatever you can think of, they have it at Christmas pageants, things like that. 4th of July parades, I mean, not
Yeah.
specifics, but they do have all that, and it's very well attended.
Examples, but the density.
So that might be something to draw example from, because it really isn't a very densely populated area, and it's fairly rural outside of, it's kind of like us.
Hey, I'm sorry, this is Jake. I
There's a
just
place
want
I'm
to be
thinking
sure
of that actually be
I'm
really
understanding
close to what
context.
we're looking
So
for.
this conversation is now about if it's not feasible to run through this Marvin district plan, you're now talking about drawing up what it could potentially look like with an urban planner if everybody did their own thing. I mean, sorry if I'm misunderstanding, but I'm curious where this conversation's going.
Yeah, I think this is not where the conversation is supposed to go today, but in general, like collecting ideas on what could be a part of what ends up getting drawn by a land use planner, which is not going to happen in a month or even 2 months.
That's way too early.
But if this committee could be a part of that process, we could definitely be a lot farther along and, have a product that's a lot more precise to what belongs here.
You see what he-
And then again, are you still referring to that, what you just said? Would that still be the district, or would this now be sort of a second option if the district is not feasible?
That's kind of a complicated question. If we rearrange some of the housing and commercial and open space allocations and then the district is still not feasible, we probably just won't do the district. Because we don't want to force something that, won't work, and we don't want to sacrifice the values of Marvin,
Right.
by increasing density. And that's just kind of, it's unfortunate for all the work that was put into it, but that's probably where this is going to go. But I don't really see that, I see that as a far less likely outcome, because the DFI study is showing that, it's almost there. It's just that the way that we did a broad brush of these scenarios, that doesn't work for any one particular property, but if you reallocate it, you kind of compartmentalize the purposes of each of these properties, you put more of the.
Yeah. So you're talking about retaining an urban planner to then make another run with DFI?
Right. And then we've already hired one. We've hired a planner from Infocus, and as I said, the CEO is really interested in putting more of that company's resources towards this project than just him, the one guy that we hired.
Hey, Rohit.
Yeah.
There's a good example I just thought of. In Gatlinburg, Tennessee, there is an area called the Great Smoky Arts and Crafts Community. It's a bit more rural, and it's got shops along rural roads. It's much less dense than a lot of these examples we've been seeing. I don't know if you could find pictures of it, but
Can you say what it is again?
it's called the Great Smoky Arts and Crafts Community. It's 3 miles from downtown Gatlinburg, but I think it's closer to what what everybody's kind of envisioning.
Cool, let me drop in. That's good.
It winds down some back roads, but yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so this is not, I mean, I guess this is really cool. I'll screen share this for a second, but this is not, I guess, part of the agenda to be talking about the design specifics. I think what I'm getting as a consensus, though, is that this committee wants to be involved in the process of creating that concept plan, but you also really need to see more of, more sketches and less, just description like context for you to actually make decisions on what you like and what you don't like in terms of design. That's basically what I'm hearing, right?
This is all kind of haphazard, though.
For me, Rohit, yes. This is Michael.
This is cool. This is very low density.
Yeah, I would agree as well, Rohit. Like I said, I'm more of a picture kind of person.
And Rohit, that goes much further back than you think. They're literally like shops for like miles and miles like that.
Like this. That's cute.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, in that case, I've taken my notes, and but like since no one is really objecting to this reallocation of the components of this district, I think we'll take that idea and we'll take some other ideas that property owners have, and then come back to the next meeting with whoever we hire or don't, if it's just in focus, and we'll have more like drawings and kind of results of the beginnings of engagement with property owners. But can I also get some yay or nays on having that property owner meeting at the next committee meeting here? Is that a good idea?
I agree, this is Dorota, it's a good idea, and we
Okay.
really need the input, otherwise we're spinning our wheels and we don't know if they even would consider any of it.
Great.
I'll already be here, Rohit, so I'll see you.
Okay. Well, in that case, I think I've got a lot of good input and a lot of good progress on, basically what we need to do for our next steps. And there's all sorts of outcomes that could come out of this. But we'll keep you posted and see what happens out of the next couple of weeks of planning board and council's decisions. Okay, then with that, I don't have really any other discussion on this agenda item. Unless anyone else has anything they want to add. Okay, if not, then the next item is just to talk about an update on the SEI and COI forms, the Statement of Economic Interest and Conflict of Interest forms, and that's Austin.
Basically, this is your monthly reminder that your forms are due to me by April. I put a memo in your packet just to explain what you have to do. It's really simple. If I don't have them soon, you're probably gonna start getting calls from council members just to remind you to turn them in. We just do this every year. So if you have any questions about them, if you need me to email you the forms, just let me know so we can get you guys checked off the list. Any questions? Okay, Rohit, you're good. Rohit's muted.
Thank you.
There you
Austin.
go.
Okay, so next is review of action items, and this is, I guess, going to be complicated. So, Austin, tell me what you got, and I'll see what.
Well, you're going to get with. Oh, I need to unmute us. Now I was muted. Okay. So you're going to get with property owners to get them to attend the next meeting, and you're going to get quotes from DFI, and so council may make a decision on how to proceed, and you'll give an update at the next meeting. You might have to change that up a little bit.
He's muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, and also potentially have that charrette of property owners at our next meeting. You can get things rolling instead of spinning wheels like in the same place. It's a great analogy. Okay. Yeah, that seems good. This is going to be an exciting decision-making month for what should be our next step. Anyway, next is committee comments.
Okay. Dorota.
Do I have comments?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I think the comments that I made really were what I would like to see, so thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Melinda.
No comments.
Jake.
No comments.
Tim.
No comments. Just taking notes.
John.
I'm sorry, clicking the wrong spot. Thought I'd figured it out by now. No additional. It sort of sounds I'm normally one of the more vocal ones on this group, and I apologize if that's so, but no more comment.
You're fine. Michael.
No additional comments. Thank the staff for coming out tonight and putting the meeting together for us all. Appreciate it.
TJ.
No comments. Interesting meeting though, thank you.
Andy.
No comment from me.
That's it, Rohit.
Okay. Well, thank you all for coming again. The next month's meeting is going to be very exciting. So with that, I'd like someone to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
At 7:30 p.m.
11:30 p.m.
Moving to adjourn, Dorota.
Thank you. All in favor, say your name and I, or raise your hand on camera.
Hi, Jake.
Okay.
John.
Tim, yep.
Pretty much everybody.
DJ, aye.
Okay, great.
Got Mike, Linda, and John raise their hands.
I got like 7 votes, so I think we'll call it a day. Thank you everyone for coming, and keep sending me any suggestions you have, and I'll see you next month. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for hitting.
Mm-hmm.